Well, next we'd like to hear from Brother Scott Gardner, who's also in the South Newburgh congregation. What pressure did you face shortly after your baptism, Brother Gardner?
Mine was association with family. My wife and I moved back to our hometown specifically to be with family after living out of state for 9 years. Shortly after arriving, we got baptized. And so being with such a large family in the area, there was a constant pressure, invitations to be with family. We loved our family. We spent time with them, but they're a little rowdy, so we had to limit our association with them. And that left a large void, and we were lonely at times.
Did everyone react the same?
No, my dad was really upset. Being one of 9, the only time the family got together was the holidays. He put us all through Catholic school, and I became a witness, so he was ashamed. He told family and friends that I was a pretty rotten son for a while.
That must have been really difficult. But what helped you to keep making progress despite that?
Doing what we're supposed to be doing, what we're encouraged to do, being at all the meetings, being out in service, family worship, Bible reading. That stabilized us and gave us some joy as a family. And then being patient. We know Jehovah is going to take care of us. We just had to wait.
Good. So were you able to mend things with your father?
Yes. I realized he loved me. I loved him. It was a matter of spending time. So I went out of my way to really spend some time with him outside of the holidays and being patient. It took a couple years, but we got back to a nice, solid, good relationship.
Well, that's nice to hear. And what about the loneliness? How did Jehovah help you and your family with that?
Jesus' words at 1929 rang true for us. We left fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, but Jehovah provided for us. By being active in the congregation, we made so many friends. And on top of that, a strong, large spiritual family brought us in and made us part of theirs. It was such a blessing from Jehovah.
Wonderful. We want to certainly thank both of you, Sister Edens and Brother Gardner, for sharing those encouraging comments for us.
Is this a parody? I mean, it's impossible to tell. I feel like this organization is driving me to insanity. I mean, I guess it isn't a parody. This was part of the JW Stream version of this year's Exercise Patience Convention. This is legit. So what we've just heard was in the baptism talk on the Saturday morning of the program. Jehovah's Patience is Our Salvation was the theme. And as part of the talk, the speaker, Dan Albailey from Wallkill, interviews 2 Jehovah's Witness publishers. And by publisher, just to clarify, I mean someone who reports time in preaching on behalf of Jehovah's Witnesses, can be baptized or unbaptized. I think Scott Gardner here was more than likely baptized. And it was Scott Gardner's story in particular that stood out to me because it had to do with shunning. And let's just remember the reason why Scott Gardner shunned his family.
They're a little rowdy, so we had to limit our association with them. And that left a large void, and we were lonely at times.
They were a little rowdy. That was the reason why he had to shun his family and spend less time with those he grew up with those he cared about. And bear in mind, people are being invited to this convention who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're supposed to sit through this talk that's really intended to be motivational for those who are just getting baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses. But the convention itself is being advertised to ordinary members of the public. And at least in this part of the program, an ordinary member of the public is being told, if you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses and your non-Jehovah's Witness family is a little rowdy, you have to shun them. Predictably, this shunning leads to Scott and his wife feeling awful and dealing with feelings of loneliness, missing their family. It leads to tensions with the family who are understandably disturbed at the fact that people they care about have joined this group, and because of them joining this group, they are now effectively shunning them or spending way less time with them. So there's tensions there. And guess what ends up being the solution?
I realized he loved me, I loved him. It was a matter of spending time. So I went out of my way to really spend some time with him outside of the holidays and being patient. It took a couple years, but we got back to a nice, solid, good relationship.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Scott spent time with his unbelieving father, his unbelieving Catholic father. He spent time with him. He stopped shunning his Catholic father. That was apparently the solution. Again, are they trying to make me crazy at this point? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Can they please make their mind up? Is shunning bad or is it not bad? It seems that we start off in this experience with shunning being necessary because Scott's family is a little rowdy, and by the end of it, it's all happily ever after because Scott stops shunning his family and spends more time with them.